Hey guys, and welcome to another Battlefield 4 video. Today is release of the Battlefield 4 open beta. If you didn't have access to the closed beta for the last 3 or 4 days, you can now jump onto the open beta and get your hands on Battlefield 4. Now I've had the opportunity to play the closed beta for a few days now, and I want to talk to you guys about the different classes that really stood out to me for different situations. Of course, in Battlefield 3, one of the biggest problems was the fact the Assault class seemed to be very overpowered. It was one class that you could use in pretty much any situation. Well, in Battlefield 4, that definitely isn't the case. And I want to talk to you guys today about which classes you can use to be most effective on the battlefield, using the weapons you begin with on the Battlefield 4 beta. Now, so far, we only have the one map, Siege of Shanghai, with 2 game modes, Conquest Large and Domination. Now, for any of you guys who don't know, Domination is the exact same game mode as Conquest Domination from Battlefield 3. They've just changed the name and it does work in the exact same format. It takes a large map like Siege of Shanghai, scales it down and just has very close range, close quarters infantry based combat. So whilst we only have the one map to play on, between the 2 different game modes and different environments found throughout Siege of Shanghai, there are a lot of different situations in which different classes will help you out. Now, since playing the beta, the class I've actually been using the most, surprisingly, is actually the Engineer class. In Battlefield 3, I'm much more of an Assault class kind of player, but since getting on the Battlefield 4 beta, I've definitely been gravitating towards the Engineer class, and that's for one sole reason: the weapon you can see I'm using here, the MX4, or the Beretta MX4 Storm as it is known in real life. Now, this is a brand new weapon to the game. Of course, it falls under the exclusive weapons for the Engineer class, the PDWs, and it takes a 30 round stick magazine that actually fits into the pistol grip of the weapon. Now, it has an extreme rate of fire of 830 rounds per minute with a damage of 30%, so this weapon is very, very powerful at close range. So of course, for close quarters game modes like Domination, we are fighting in and out of the shopping mall on Siege of Shanghai, the MX4 can normally outmaneuver and outgun any assault rifle at close quarters. Now, one of the other greatest improvements to this class is the RPG. It now has a lock-on capability, so if you are playing larger game modes like Conquest Large that have vehicles and helicopters, you can now be more effective against these armaments with your standard RPG. If you have teammates who are using the recon class and have the PLD equipped or the laser designator, they can now lock onto these helicopters and you can then take them out with a single fire from your RPG. As long as they don't flare in the meantime, it will take these choppers or vehicles out. Now, moving on to the recon class, this too starts off with a pretty competent weapon, the CS LR4 bolt action rifle with a 6x scope. Now, this weapon isn't like the less effective SV98s that we did see at the start of Battlefield 3. This is a pretty competent bolt-action sniper rifle that's very effective if you know how to use it. Now, with the ability to zero your rifle as standard, it's pretty easy to get those headshots on any target at any distance. Now, I'm not a great sharpshooter or sniper, as a lot of my subscribers already know. But of course, the recon class now has the carbines and the shotguns in its armory, and let's not forget it does have access to the C4. So you can actually turn the recon class into a pretty cool stealth spec ops class if you're not a great sniper, and it can be very effective to play against the objective. Now, of course, this wouldn't be a Battlefield video if I didn't talk about the Assault class. Now, this starts off with the AK-12, which I will say straight off the bat is a very powerful, competent weapon, probably one of the best weapons available in the beta. This is something I have spoke about before. I have been tipped off by people who play the alpha telling me the AK-12 is a very powerful weapon, and it does seem very true. I was expecting this weapon to be very similar to the AK-74 we saw in Battlefield 3, kind of a middle-of-the-road weapon with a high rate of fire, but a lot of recoil and not great accuracy, but so far that doesn't seem to be the case. This weapon has a real laser pointer accuracy. There is almost no recoil with this weapon at all, and of course, being an assault rifle, it does have pretty long range, and you can take out targets from pretty much any distance if you know how to handle the burst fire. Now, I will say, this is one of the things that really struck me when I first saw gameplay of Battlefield 4. The weapon seemed to have very little recoil compared to Battlefield 3. Now, whether this is because we're playing an older version of the beta, even though this is the beta of Battlefield 4, it's actually a version that was made in August because it takes over a month for games that are going to come out on PSN and the Xbox store to be validated. So this version we're playing of the Battlefield 4 beta isn't actually the latest build of the game. So I am hoping maybe some of these weapons like the AK-12 that seems to have very little recoil may have more recoil and more kick in the final version of the game. But as far as the beta goes, if you guys want to play bigger game modes like Conquest Large that have much longer range engagements, and you guys don't feel confident enough with a sniper rifle or just want that extra power of a fully automatic assault rifle behind you, I couldn't recommend the AK-12 enough. To me, it reminds me of the M16A3 from Battlefield 3. It's one of the earliest weapons in the game that all players do start with, and I think we will see a lot of players sticking to this weapon throughout their career on Battlefield 4, as it is very powerful and very accurate. And finally, moving on to the support class, and there's a reason I've left this class to last. So far, it's really unimpressed me. The U100 MK5 is nowhere near on par to the other weapons you begin with in the other classes. As I said, the MX4 is probably for me going to be one of the best close quarters weapons in the game, and it's a great little weapon to start off with for the engineer class. As I said already, the AK-12 is probably going to turn out to be one of the greatest weapons in the game, probably one of the most favourable and heavily used. And as I said, the CS-LR4 is a great sniper rifle as well, a great addition to the game to start off with for the recon class. But so far, the U100 doesn't really impress me. It doesn't begin with a box magazine, you have no advantage of ammunition over other players, you do start off with a stick magazine, it has a lot of recoil, it does start off with 2 scopes, you can adjust between a further range scope and a closer range scope, so that is a pretty cool advantage in the game, but so far overall this weapon hasn't really stuck out to me, it has nothing that really wants me to pick up that class over other classes in the game. So to try and wrap this up, if you guys are planning on playing Domination, I really couldn't recommend using the Engineer class with the MX4 much more to you guys at all. It is one of the best weapons for Domination and close quarters in the game. If you are wanting to play larger game modes like Conquest, as I said, try and whip out that AK-12. It is a very good weapon. As I said, today I just want to talk about the standard weapons you do begin with in the beta. If you are going to be a sniper, well of course, you've only got one sniper rifle to choose from at the beginning. It's a pretty competent weapon. It isn't like the SV98 or the other weapons you did begin with in Battlefield 3. It's a bolt action, single shot to the chest or head weapon. It's very, very accurate and very, very powerful. But so far, if I was you, if you're wanting to try and rack up some points or just be a pretty competent player on the battlefield, I would mainly avoid the support class for the moment. So far, that class really is the one that doesn't shine as much as the others. But that's all I've got time for today, guys. Now, in the comments below, I want to hear from you. Which other Battlefield 4 beta topics do you want to see me cover? Leave all your video ideas in the description below. I'll try and cover as many of those as I possibly can. And if you did enjoy the video, don't forget to hit like and leave a comment below. It does help me out a lot. But in the meantime, guys, thank you for watching, and I will see you soon.